Okay, it's 7.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get the audio to share like I did just a minute ago. Not letting me now all of a sudden.
Don't you go where the mute is?
The mute?
There's somewhere where it says share audio.
Share audio. Maybe.
Is it right on the video?
Maybe it's because the video is not up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, fucking tested this. Yo, shit. I mean, I don't know. I guess I should just bring him in. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here they all come. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Be here. Who do we have? We got lots of people. Is everybody not like going on screen? What's happening right now? There we go. Here's Patrick. Good to
You too, Michael.
Hey,
I was
Pat.
wondering who NTD was.
Oh yeah, it's my office abbreviation. I don't know. It's default, I guess.
We were trying to decode that.
All right, folks, you're gonna have to show your faces. Come on now. There's Skylar. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Tyler.
Good. Get this party started here in a minute.
Where you at, Dr. Wang?
Dr. Fu, we know you're out there.
There's Wendy. She got on time. She thought she was going to be late.
I know.
Hey, there's Dr. Wang.
Dr. Wang.
I just liked your
You
post.
with the background.
Wang.
Thank you.
We'll get started here, guys, in a few minutes. Give everybody a minute. I feel like, Paul, like clicking on like request video on the participant, like telling people to turn their videos on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start doing it to pressure you guys right now. Anna, start your video. Wendy, start your video.
All the girls will be off video.
I know.
I was going to be off, but I forced
Turn off the camera for now.
See here, who's got the latest tonight? So East Coast. Let me think here.
Well, Mitra went to a Lakers game. She chose over us. So
What? A Lakers game? Why would you skip annual planning for a Lakers game?
who's TSD?
I know. Reveal yourself, TSD. Who are you?
I'm trying to think of initials of a dental office now that.
Oh, maybe there's a chat here. Oh, Wendy's driving. Wendy's driving. Okay. you'll get
Oh,
a
I
pass,
told her to
Wendy.
join. Yeah, I told her to join. I forgot.
Well, we
Jenny's
can get this
on.
party started. It's been 5 minutes. Do you think we should wait
Okay.
a couple minutes? Or are we good? What do you think?
Do you
We
want
are
me to
recording
text,
it. Let's get the.
do you want me to text Fu real quick and ask him?
Oh yeah, he got on an hour early, guys, and we said go away for an hour, and now he's not joining us. So, of course.
It's the latest for him. He probably wins.
Yeah. Oh, West Coast. We got Denver. We got Arizona. What else we got? NTD to be determined. Well, let's get it going. I'm getting antsy. So, guys and ladies, tonight's the night. We're going to walk you through kind of an annual planning session. This is something that we do for all of our clients on the practice management side. But essentially, we wanted to offer it to all you guys on that membership plan. And if you're not thinking about how to, grow your practice and throw goals out and communicate those goals, we're going to help you do that tonight. So I guess first things first, let's get into some housekeeping real quick. So we're not going to ask too many things of you guys to participate, because you guys, actually there's no competing offices, so that's not a problem. But don't feel like we're going to call you out. But if you feel like you want to, and you guys want to ask a question and you just want to be vulnerable, that's super cool. It's a super safe place here, folks. We're all a big family at Next Level. We actually encourage you all to know each other and interact with each other.
I think
and
someone's
actually
doing
one of
dishes.
those- I know. That was actually one of the agreements I'm going to go over. So go on mute if you need to. So mute yourself if you got some background noises. But also in agreement, dream big, have fun tonight, play full out, because you only get what you put into this. So little Wayne Gretzky quote: "You miss every shot you don't take." So shoot for the stars, and you might land on the moon even if you come up short. So that's kind of the theme tonight. And yeah, that's that. So the agenda for tonight, let me see here. I'm gonna force some mutes. Sorry, Paul, I actually put you on mute.
He put himself on mute. I'm
Yeah,
dead.
you muted
I'm
yourself.
dead.
Man of his word.
Oh my gosh, I muted myself. So I dialed in with my phone, because it's harder to hear through the computer. So anyway, go on mute. All right. So the agenda for tonight, Paul is going to go over the 5 dysfunctions of a team, which is a great book. That's the book of the year. We go over a book every year, so Paul is going to break that down. Then we're going to get into 2023 goal setting for you all. We're going to go through what we call the ultimate success formula. Then we're going to go through our target board. So we can send you the art. This is something we provide to our teams, but essentially we'll send you the art for it. You can get a target board laminated. It's nothing fancy, but you put it up. We'll teach you how to fill that out. We're going to go through a marketing calendar. And then if you guys want to hang out, Q&As are always fun. So that is the agenda. So without further ado, Paula, you've got the stage. And now I'll go on mute.
Can I unmute? Hi everyone, welcome. So a lot of you are new. Some of you have taken over practices. The ones who've taken over already probably feel the 5 dysfunctions of a team. The new startups and stuff, you haven't gotten there yet, but the The great thing about this book is it's not really it's more behavior. We have a lot of different characteristics, but it's really about certain behaviors that lead into other behaviors. And if you are a newer doc and don't have a big team and don't feel this yet, as you grow, as you add team members, especially if you have a core group and you bring a newbie in, these are some of the things that can happen. So we want to make sure that we go over this with you. It's great on Audible. I think it just took me a few hours to listen to it. Easy read and a lot of information. Michael's in control. Sorry. Okay. Can you, I think you put the link in the messages. Can you move forward, Michael? Okay, so we're going to play a quick video here that's basically going to describe the book, and then we'll break it down a little bit more.
The Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick M. Lencioni, written by Luke Rowley and read to you by Andy Mayes. One-sentence summary. The Five Dysfunctions of a Team uses a fable to explain why even the best teams struggle to work together and offers actionable strategies for them to overcome distrust and office politics to achieve important goals as a cohesive, effective unit. Favorite quote from the author. It's as simple as this. When people don't unload their opinions and feel like they've been listened to, they won't really get on board. Patrick Lencioni. Since the first time you engaged in any team sport as a child, you probably learned this truth. Teamwork can be hard. Sometimes one kid wants to have the ball all to himself, and other times players disagree on responsibilities. Even for adults, working together is difficult. Politics, ego, and mistrust get in the way of building a well-performing team. However, an efficient team truly is greater than the sum of its parts, especially in the business world. Exceptional teamwork can give a company the competitive advantage it needs to beat out its rivals. Patrick Lencioni is a well-known author of many business books and the founder of Table Group, a management consulting firm that specializes in organizational health. In The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, a leadership fable, he uses a fictional tale to bring us truthful insights into what makes a good team. We learn about a struggling Silicon Valley startup, Decision Tech, under the leadership of new CEO Catherine Peterson. 2 years earlier, it looked like a promising startup with all the investors and well-qualified executives you would ever need, but now it's falling apart because of poor management. The executives were not working together, and the team members struggled to take on responsibilities or come to agreements. Through their story, we learn the five dysfunctions of a team. These are 1. Absence of trust. 2. Fear of conflict. 3. Lack of commitment. 4. Avoidance of accountability. 5. Inattention to results. We also learn helpful strategies on how to overcome these dysfunctions and become a cohesive team. Because, as Lencioni puts it, teamwork is the ultimate competitive advantage. Here are 3 principles this book taught me. 1. As a group, be open about weaknesses and mistakes to facilitate trust. 2. Everybody needs to be committed to decisions, no matter what the consensus is. 3. Hold a common goal instead of looking for individual results. Let's discover how to work better with others. Lesson 1. Being open about mistakes as a group will build trust. Like any good relationship, trust is the key to a solid team. When members in a group trust each other, they will talk openly about tough and touchy subjects. And if they can talk about hard things, they can find the best solutions. Team members build trust when they are vulnerable to one another. People need to see that there is no reason to protect themselves and start talking about their mistakes and vulnerabilities. When they do this, others will see the full picture of their peers. When they see that their peers have weaknesses and make mistakes, they will feel less hesitant to share their own flaws. The leader needs to be the example of vulnerability, and the most vulnerable as well. Let's take a look at an example of this from the fictional story in the book. At Decision Tech, CEO Catherine knew the group needed to take the time to share mistakes. She led by telling the team about her previous management failures and her being fired once in the past. By doing this, Catherine earned the team's trust and helped them open up and share their own shortcomings also. Lesson 2. Even if a few people disagree when making decisions, everyone needs to be committed to the final choice. One of the keys to becoming a great team is to make decisions together and stand by them. Team players realize that making any decision will always be more beneficial than not making a decision. When the team doesn't make a choice, there is confusion and ambiguity, which will trickle down, affecting work on every level. However, a consensus may not always be possible. People often have differing opinions, and it's not easy or practical to please everyone. That's why effective team members agree to commit to a decision that will help the common goal, regardless of if they agree. To do this, though, every opinion needs to be heard. Most rational people will accept a decision, even if their opinion differs, as long as their feelings on the matter are listened to and addressed. A quality of a cohesive team is that they will all commit fully to the decisions the group has made, even if they argued against it passionately earlier. Now, before we get into let's dive into lesson number 3. Lesson 3. Focus on collective results rather than individual goals. In a truly efficient team, members realize that the goal of the team is more important than individual gains. Take, for example, the story of Catherine's husband, a basketball coach. He had to drop one of his best players because that player was more concerned about how many points he scored than whether or not the team won the game. When someone puts their own goals in front of the team's, they will hinder everyone else. Every time this happens in the business world, people start to lose their sight of the collective goal and the company suffers. Eventually, those who are exceptional team players will leave. So what kind of goals should a team make? There are 2 qualities of good team goals: clearly defined and measurable. If the group's goal is clear and can be measured, members can't focus on their own goals because they will be accountable to accomplishing the team goal. Common goals will also encourage team members to help and support one another to make it happen.
Hey,
The 5 dysfunctions of a team.
All right, perfect. So a couple of things that really stuck out to me is what makes a good team. So we want a good foundation, right? And I think it's all built on trust. It's probably like that in any relationship, that trust and loyalty are an integral part of a team. And without it, it's hard to bring innovative ideas, right? If you've ever sat in a room where somebody's got to be, the know-it-all, or, talks over people, or they don't let your voice be heard, you usually just clam up, right? So you sit there, and even though you think like, oh, I have a great idea, or I have some input on that, if you don't have trust with the people that you're in there with, you usually just kind of sit there and be quiet about your opinions and suggestions. So without it, it's merely a group of people who feel they need to be right and are not willing to take any risk. And I think what creates trust, especially with you all, because you will be the leaders, is that being able to admit when you even make a mistake, right? So if they know that you make mistakes and that it's okay to admit that, then they're likely to also follow suit. Go ahead, Michael. So, and all these just really build on each other. It's really, like they said, the teamwork is the ultimate competitive edge. So whenever I'm thinking of team, I always think of speaking of basketball earlier, is any kind of sports team, because when you see a really, really good team, you see them working together. So the absence of trust, the downside is fear of conflict. So we need conflict, right? If we don't have conflict, it's artificial harmony. We're just all walking around doing something. We're not getting relationships. We're not spreading our voice. We're not making suggestions. We're really just afraid of conflict, afraid of not having trust. So therefore, again, it's that artificial harmony. Really, when we have that conflict, if it's healthy and it's focused on the processes and the services and the practice itself, then a lot of great results come out of that, right? That's when we get innovative ideas. We just get better and better when we're able to have that healthy conflict and debate things and get things out of there. So if you trust, you will be comfortable engaging in a healthy debate. Go ahead, Michael. And then that becomes lack of conflict. So like they said earlier, every opinion needs to be heard. If you don't have that healthy debate, you don't get to be heard, you don't put your input in, then committing to that particular thing that the team decides on, or the doctor decides on, or maybe one person in the practice is less, right? Because now you're being told what to do. So even if you get heard and your decision or your suggestion isn't the one chosen, you still get to understand the other person's point of view, understand why this process or this decision might be better. And then usually you go along with it. It's just, you just want to be heard, right? A key trait of great team is making decisions and standing by them. A lack of commitment will make it impossible to achieve a consensus among team, leading to disinterest, resentment, and stagnation. So if you haven't been in, I'm sure you even being associates, you've seen this kind of stuff amongst teams. So really we need that trust to have that healthy conflict. And then with that, where we make commitments. And then accountability relies on commitment. So again, if you're not committed to something, or somebody else isn't committed, you just make the decision, it's hard to hold someone accountable, right? So if together we decide that we're going to show up at 7:30 a.m. every morning for our morning huddle, right? And we decide that as a team, and then Michael doesn't show up, it's easier for me to say, hey, dude, where were you this morning, right? We all decided that we were having that team meeting at 7:30. But if it's just sort of like everybody show up at 7:30 and it's not, even if you know the result is you want everyone to show up at 7:30, it's kind of giving them that voice. It's a much harder thing to hold people to that commitment, because it really wasn't their commitment to begin with. It was something that you just decided. And as an owner, that will definitely happen sometimes. But I think having those team meetings, those morning huddles, those monthly meetings, and talking through what does our team, what do we want to look like? How do we want to show up for each other? Do we all agree we can do this? Then it's easier to have those conversations when somebody falls short of that. Go ahead, Michael. And then that leads to inattention to results. Like I said, results must be agreed upon by the whole team. Team members cannot be accountable if there are no results set as goals, and the leader should reward these results. And when we say that, sometimes doctors get all like big-eyed, and it's really just a thank you, right? It's really just sometimes if you haven't read the 5 languages of appreciation, that's another great one. It's really just showing your appreciation, that you appreciate them coming in, you appreciate them going the extra mile, you appreciate those things, really goes a long way. And then the last is just go ahead, Michael, to the goals. Focus on the team goals rather than the individual goals. Again, think of a basketball team, a football team, we all have to play together. We all have our part. And that's what makes us from a good team to a fantastic team. That's what gets you there. Team cohesion improves results. Great teams spend a lot of time together. And then that acronym. So again, he said good team goals, clearly defined and measurable. So that's one of the things we're going to focus on tonight is, what is our goal? Is it clear enough? How are we going to get there, and how are we going to measure it to make those results, those goals come true? All right, take it away, MD. Does anyone have anything? What's that? Does anyone have anything? Dr. Frost said he's read it. Anybody have anything to add to that, or have they used it? Did they get anything out of this? They're going to go out and buy it.
I would suggest that you guys even take some of these PowerPoint slides. We can offer that up and you guys present this to your team, challenge them to read the book. But, you know, we really do live by this as consultants because it's challenging for consultants to go into offices and just tell teams what to do. Of course, we know the answers, but you can't go in and just tell people that their way is stupid. And so we have to do that, like, dance with the team member and be like, okay, so how do you do it? And all right, cool. Have you thought about doing it this way? You really do need to create safety all the way through, get commitments and then accountability. And if they feel like they were part of that process, you really can get the results that you're looking for. So we have to live this every single day with our clients, but you guys and gals as newer leaders, owners, you're going to have to figure this out in your careers over 20, 30 years. And you get new team members and it's just always the dance, you know? So it's a great book. You guys should definitely read it. So yeah.
I'm going to say one more.
Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say one more thing.
Okay.
You know, Michael and I try and do this when we're coaching, is, you know, we get so caught up in dentistry, we get so caught up in numbers, we get so caught up in the everyday activity, and sometimes we call it the fluff, you know, to change a person, you have to change the behavior. Sometimes you have to dig deep and find books, you know, like this, so that, you know, I always call them self-help books. I don't know if that's really what they are, you know, improvement books, impact books, you know, where it's like, we can talk all day long about hitting a goals or how we should treat our patients, but sometimes finding books or YouTube videos and things on customer service and just every once in a while bringing that flair to your team meetings. Because I think when you read something like this, or you watch a video, or you see an example, you get reminded of, like, oh yeah, right, we should be doing that too. So just food for thought there, that when you're having your own team meetings and you're out on your own, you know, it doesn't always have to be about dentistry, right? It can be a little bit about personality, behavior, the way we're impacting people just in general. So
Nice. Okay, so this slide, you know, it's been up for a minute. You probably read it. We're not going to make you guys go round table here, but for folks that can't see the screen, these are some challenging questions to get your juices flowing. I really do believe that those that work on their business are going to have better results versus just working in the business. So you got to ask yourself, you know, what happened last year? How did I do? How would you describe your professional year in general? And then back that up with, you know, what areas of accomplishment are you most proud of? So you got to have the wins. About to sneeze. Oh boy, it left. So ask yourself these questions, really debrief yourself every year. And Paula and I just went through annual planning, our small little company, but it was a really healthy thing for us to go through this exact activity, and easier to do that with partners, but maybe do that with your spouses, maybe do that with key team members, but it's a really good thing to go through and ask yourself. Okay, so let's talk about goal setting. So Paula sent out a few resources that you should see. These, you guys can see this, right? Yeah, Paula, do you see this?
Yep.
Yeah. So this hopefully is a reminder. So essentially, let me flip back. So you got to come up with smart, attainable goals. And the thing that we find as practice consultants is you could have a very generic production by day goal, and just kind of, shoot from the hip, well-rounded, or you can get very specific. And we find that the more specific you get, the more empowering it can be. And so this exercise really is going to walk you through it. It's a very simple spreadsheet, nothing fancy to it. But let's say, for example, you're a practice, a lot of you are startups, but just walking through this, let's say, for example, you're working 3 days a week for 4 weeks, obviously in a month. So let's say that there's 12 working days in January, right? you want to get as very specific as possible when you're filling this out. And so you might start here, but where I'm gonna go with this is that there's holidays, there's vacation, there's things like January, you're gonna have New Year. So we might be down to 11 days now, right? December, we're gonna probably take off Christmas, maybe a couple of days of Christmas. So now you're down to maybe 10 days. You guys see the providers there. That's obvious. If there's 3 hygienists or 2 dentists or whatever the situation is, let's say for Thanksgiving, we're taking 1 day off. So you get the point, because you really got to get specific about that. Then I want you to kind of look back for the startups. It's a little challenging. It's a work in progress. But for those of you bought practices, go back and get an average of what you've done daily and bump it up a little bit, maybe 20, 30%. Those of startups, you might want to waterfall this as you're thinking about your goal for the first year. But, let's just say you're shooting for $3,000 a month, doctor, and let's just say $1,200.
That's a day.
Like, oh man, that'd be good.
That's
a day. So daily goal. So you fill in that. This is going to be the same for everyone. I don't know why you would have a different goal unless you were working like, I don't know, half-time or something, but like your daily goal should be roughly the same. And then down the bottom, it's going to waterfall down. Let's say your goal though was 650, for example. Then you're going to have to go back and tweak that. So maybe 3,500, right? And that's the beauty about this spreadsheet is you can play with it till you get to that goal. And hopefully, I think if I did my math right here, it's going to be close to 650. That's close enough, 650. So you just keep playing with this thing until you figure it out. Again, the key is being very specific to the days that you're off that you're giving your team. Because you'll walk in for that month and see, okay, 56.4 is our monthly goal here. 51.7 is our monthly goal here. If you're using tools like Dental Intelligence, you can do it all in a software like that. And we've helped some of you do that, and we can help you guys do that. But essentially, that's what this tool is. So use it, break it down, be very specific. Again, shoot for the stars.
Michael, can I
Anything to
say
add there,
one?
Paula?
Yeah, just really very simple. The hygienist typically can only do so much. So if you have a goal in mind, like Michael just said, if your goal is 650, the likelihood of you going and bumping up your hygienist is probably going to be minimal. So a lot of that falls on your shoulders, right? We also like to go by adjusted production or net, right? So just depending on what your practice management software reads, your hygienist, we have hygienists that do 3,000 a day because they go by gross, right? We have hygienists who do 900 a day because they're a Medicaid office. And then we have hygienists that, are $1,200 to $1,500 a day. I do want you to push them because, if they're just doing prophies all day, that's why their goal is their goal, right? It might be $1,000 a day because they're not doing periotherapy. They're not doing gingivitis therapy. They're not doing any adjunctive services. So just remember, you can push them a little bit, but you kind of have to make up the gap when you're doing that waterfall. So, okay, that's it.
Quick question. While we're on the hygiene topic, I don't know how many kind of startups do this, but from everyone I've heard, it seems like more startups do a lot of like prophy princesses kind of thing because they don't want to upset patients, for example, in the beginning. So I guess one thing I decided to do was take off because I had a new patient special for exam cleaning and x-rays. I decided to just take the cleaning off there because I figured a lot of our bad reviews I get at my associateship is from that special, and then suddenly patients feel like it's a bait and switch.
Okay, so
So I kind of wanted to see what your thoughts on her.
Yeah, so I probably think a little bit different than 99% of the hygienists out there. I always do a prophy on my patient's first visit. I have no problems if someone has periodontal disease giving them what they want on that first visit, educating and getting them back. With most insurances, if not all, you're not going to get in any trouble. You can do a prophy. You can turn around and do periotherapy next month or whenever they schedule. I have a lot of hygienists that they're like, that's not okay. You can't do a prophy. And I'm like, hey, you know what? My car needs a detail, but I want to run it through the car wash today. I'll come back and pay the $300 and get a detail at a different day. But I have a wedding I'm going to go to and I want my car washed, right? It's still a bait and switch. I got to be honest with you a little bit. If I come in and I haven't been to a dentist in a while and I come in and I'm sitting in your practice for 60 to 90 minutes and you're like, well, you have periodontal disease, we're not going to do anything today. As a new patient, I'm probably going to be maybe semi just as upset because I haven't had my teeth cleaned forever. I want my teeth cleaned, right? So we can talk a little bit offline about that, but I feel 100%, I'm in my 26th year of hygiene and I feel 100% confident doing a prophy today, letting my patients know this is a cosmetic cleaning, that under the grill, there is so much stuff we can't even begin to touch that today, but we'll get it started. We'll get some of the, because a lot of patients don't have periodontal disease in the anterior teeth anyway. I mean, a lot of them. So I'm getting the front as clean as they're going to get, because when they come back, all my focus is really on the posterior teeth anyway. I mean, not on everyone, obviously, depends on how involved they are. So I feel very justified doing that. I don't know if that helps, and we can talk more about that later. But that's how I do it. Are you billing a prophy to insurance? Yes, sir, I am. And no, the
So
insurance
Stefani,
will not reject the SRP. What's that?
I was just going to say, let's not pull this conversation too far down into the weeds. Stefani, if you're still listening, there's a question about billing. Jump in there with your technical knowledge if you don't mind.
Well, she knows because
while
she
we
billed
can-
for me and I did it for the 3 years I owned. I billed a prophy every time and turned around and did a periotherapy. So
He's 100% right. You guys were talking faster than I could type. The only time that it ever dings you is when you're doing perio maintenance and you want to enroll them back into active therapy. There's just, a 90-day waiting clause. But in regards to prophy, you're in the clear.
So we have a couple clients in Bellevue, Washington, if you guys know where that's at, and gals. It's kind of like the ritzy area of Washington State, and all the Bellevue patients want their car washed, and so our doctors are always trying to get our hygienists to make those patients feel great, but also don't get them enrolled. So we just went through this, didn't we, Paula? Paula had to pull the hygienist into closed doors and have an awkward conversation with them, but it actually turned out great. So great question. Keep that chat going. For the rest of the folks, let's get back onto the goals, just because I want to honor time tonight. But Troth, I appreciate you asking questions. If you guys have questions, absolutely, let's go and do that. But okay, so hopefully this spreadsheet helps you all. If you need it resent, no problem. If you need help filling it out and more completion, let's do it on our next call. On your next call, that if you have any questions, we can go over that. So, but again, the key is be as specific, challenge yourself, and yes, Paula's right. Net production, thank you. I forgot about mentioning that. So that's why it's good to have partners checking your work. Okay, so with that being said, then once you come up with your goal, so in our case, we got 650. We want to hit it. Rah, let's go team. You want to share that with your team, because I'm going to tell you right now, like one of the biggest misses for leaders, we walk into offices every single day. We're going into one tomorrow to Texas. I don't know why we're flying to Texas in an ice storm that's happening, but I'm thinking of him. He's like so many others. They don't communicate the numbers because they're afraid the team is going to think they're rich. And that's the wrong way to think. If you set it up and say, hey, look, this business is very expensive, specifically You guys are expensive. Marketing's expensive. Rent's expensive. My loan's expensive. It's expensive to run a business. They're not dumb. They know. You have to talk about numbers. You have to, because if you don't, they don't know what they're trying to do for you. And every time we walk in and we talk about numbers to the team's so appreciative. They're like, finally, someone's talking about numbers. Like it was a big secret. We don't even know if we're doing the right things or not. They want to please you. Shocker. They do. So if you don't communicate what we're trying to do, then you're not going to hit your goal. So you got to talk about numbers. And so you get your team involved and you work through questions like what are some things we can do to increase production to maybe get that extra 30% lift. And you want to look at each department. Next Level kind of breaks down a dental office into 5 different departments. Financially, anything that has to do with money, increased fees, better treatment plans, anything that has to do with money is going to be in that financial bucket. Marketing, of course, naturally, anything that has to do with marketing, we're going to talk about the marketing calendar later. But hey, we needed social media, or maybe we should run an ad or do a promotion. So get the team thinking about that. HR, maybe they're not super clear about, maybe you want to roll a bonus out, or maybe they want a benefit. And you're like, hey, if we hit these numbers, we can give you these benefits. Operations is more like the actual facility and the system. So like, oh, the intraoral camera in Op 5 isn't working and I can't take pictures, tour of the mouth. And so we can't do good treatment there. So just really get them involved. And then the last one is what we call enrollment. It's a fancy word for sales. So the process of enrolling a patient or selling the patient to a yes. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask your team, hey, look, our goal is 650. We all came up with it. This is exciting. Or I came up with it. We're not too far off. What are some things in each one of these departments that we can do to increase our production? And then you strip that down to like 1 or 2, maybe even 3 things that you can focus on and really hold your team accountable. Again, back to that book, having safety and all that, but getting them to commit and then hold them accountable to those things is key. And I find that when we do these annual plannings, we have like a whole board of really great suggestions, and that can be overwhelming. So just choose a couple, the ones that might move the needle bigger, focus just on that one and execute it, because I find having a lot of ideas is great, but execution is everything, right? It's everything. And I've talked to all of you about that before. And so yeah, with that being said, get your ideas and then start tracking them. And Paula will give you a tool here as you approach some of those action things that you want to do. So do you want to go over ultimate success formula?
Yeah, real quick. So Michael, on the next slide, Michael's gonna kind of help you put those particular needle movers into practicality, but basically we'll just talk about the number right now. Okay, so the what is the goal? It's a very precise goal. So if we say, I want to lose 5 pounds, well, by when do you want to lose 5 pounds, right? Or I want to lose some weight. How much weight do you want to lose? And by when do you want to lose it? So it's really coming up with that definitive goal. So if I'm going to use 1 million for simplicity, not to freak anyone out or get anyone too excited. We're just going to use 1 million because I'm going to just say it. So if 1 million is your goal, obviously it's very definitive because we're doing it in the year 2023. But if it was something else, you would want to define that period of time. So as you're thinking about things in the next slide, when Michael talks to you, if it's reviews, how many reviews do you want to get? By when do you want to get them? Right. So it is, what is that goal you're looking for? And then why do you want it? And it's hard when you're talking about money, especially to your team, because you're like, why do I want to make $1 million? Well, hello, I have dental bills, right? And There's all kinds of reasons. But with a team, really the why behind it is, numbers are a measuring device. They're a measuring stick to say, are we meeting average? Are we meeting industry standards? Are we, there? Are we providing the services that are out there that industry standards say we should be? And then the other thing it allows us to do is put money and technology back into our practice, right? So if we hit that million or whatever that number is, not only can we pay bills, we can get more team members if we need it. We can buy more technology. We can do more marketing so that we can service more patients with our amazing dentistry. You want to talk to, and it is all true. I'm not blowing smoke. But you don't want to just say, oh, I want to make $1 million so I can, buy my new boat or whatever. So it's the why behind it. And you all got into dentistry for a reason. So this will be pretty easy of why do we need to hit certain numbers, right? And then how is going to be those things that you're going to track. So you're going to think of, like Michael said, maybe like 3 things that can move the needle. If you're an Invisalign or a clear aligner therapy doctor, maybe it's, instead of doing, and it's not do more aligner cases, right? It's I want to do 5 a month, or I want to do 3 a month. It's really putting a definitive thing on that so that you can measure. So picking 3 things that you feel in this moment can move the needle in your practice or when you open your practice. Maybe it's those reviews, maybe it's those referrals, maybe it's certain procedures, maybe you want to track new patients and you need 10 new patients a month. Whatever that is, that's the how. So that's taking massive action and coming up with, 1 to 5 things. We say 3 is the magic number that can move the needle in your practice. Then you're going to track and measure. Michael's going to give you a tool in a minute. Those of you who have been introduced to DI, have DI in your practice. Dental Intel is an amazing tool to track. You can use your practice management software for most, if not all of it. And then if you have Dental Intel or this tool Michael's going to show you in a minute, it's just old school tracking, but it's great because you can share with your team. You can all see it. You can talk about it in your morning huddles. And everyone can measure with you and not just you. And then adjust just means if, let's say that, let's just say that we want 5 reviews a month, okay? And we measure at the end of the month, or we measure weekly, and at month or week 2, we're still at 0. That means we need to adjust. We need to adjust our approach, whatever it is that you're measuring, whatever the change you're trying to make. It means whatever you're doing is not working, right? So do we ask differently? Do we get care to share cards where we have a referral program? Do we create a contest? So it's like, what do we need to do? And sometimes, guys and gals, it's really just going back, and maybe our goal isn't specific enough. Maybe our timeline isn't specific enough. Maybe instead of 1 million, we need to do, my math's not going to be really good right now, but we need to do 120,000 a month. Maybe we concentrate on the month or the day instead of the year. Maybe it's just too broad for us all to think. So, okay, this month, the month of February, we're going to do 120. Our why will probably be the same. Our how might be a little bit different. Maybe we're going to only concentrate on one thing now, right? We're going to track and measure that. If that's not working, so you guys get the gist on this. And you can do this with anything in your life, anything in your practice, but that is the ultimate success formula right there to achieve any goal. All right, take it away again, Michael. What would have been funny if I was on mute the whole time, because I was like, did I unmute myself?
Oh God. No,
Okay.
I love that. I was thinking too that, sometimes we think, like, some of our team members, they might be making $15 an hour, right? I don't know. You guys are in different markets, most definitely not here in Seattle, that's for sure. But for the rest of you in the country, you might have some teams that are making, $15, $20, and you got to think, like, it's hard to get those team members to think like owners, that owner mentality. I mean, these are folks making better than obviously minimum, but still not crushing it by no means. And so you really, as you owners, you struggle, like, you're trying to make this happen. You want these needles to move. but you got to get your team members behind it and get them excited, and don't bite off too much. I think as new owners, you guys want to move mountains, and dude, they're just this is a job for them in a lot of ways, right? You can stretch them. You definitely can stretch them and get them excited, but they can't move mountains with you if you're asking too much, right? So just keep that in mind. Don't kill them, but at the same, get participation. But anyways, I was just thinking about that. All right, so this is the target board. I can send you this art. What we do is we put this bad boy up on a like 24 by 36 laminate. We laminate them, okay? And essentially what it's going to do is it's going to help you and your team hit your goals on a daily basis that comes to the final number for the month. So let me just go through this. You've got, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got 10 spaces, 10 things to track, okay? We gave you the first 2, collections, production, just as some ideas. Might be new patients, might be ortho cases, might be, I don't know, whatever, night guards. Maybe you want to go after night guards or reviews. So whatever you're trying to track here, okay, that's what goes here. You're going to get some dry erase boards or markers. And then the other thing is this is not calendar days, this is working days. So the first day that you work in January might be the 3rd of January, but it's the first day that you work. Okay, so first work day, second work day. That's why you don't see, I mean, some people are working 24 days in a month. That's crazy, but it happens. So that's that. Then you're going to see this kind of like grid pattern. I'm going to get into that next. So kind of zeroing in and getting tighter. I know it's kind of foggy. I did the best I could. But essentially what you're going to do in the top triangle up here, you're going to put what the goal is. So you're going to write the goal, whatever you're tracking at the top, and then what was actually done that day on the bottom. Okay, so for collections, let's say our target's 3,000 a month, but you actually collected 1,500. So you're negative now 1,500. And you would go over to the end. So you just fill this one in, you go into the end and you'd write negative 15. And the next day you come in and your goal is 3,000, but you produce 45. Okay, so now you're back to 0. So you would go back to this, you'd fill this number 2 in, and then you would put 0 down here. So it's always tallying as you go at the end. Are you with me? So it's like the math, you're doing it with the math as you go. Next day, 3,000 again is the goal. Oh shoot, we hit 25. Now we go back over, we erase this, right? Negative 500. And then the next one, oh shoot, negative 1. So now, are you guys tracking? So it's basically a tally. Could be night guards. For example, you might want to hit a night guard a day. Oh, we didn't get it, we didn't get it, we didn't get it. Oh, we did. So we're negative 3 as we go. Reviews, let's say you want 1 review. Let's say you want 4 reviews a month. You're working 4 days a week. I'm sorry, yeah. So you break it out to 1 review a week. So this is the goal. Every 4 days, we get 1 review. We didn't get any today. Oh, we got 3, boom, plus 3. We didn't hear, oh, we didn't hear. So you're back to 2. So whatever you're tracking, you just make it yours. Again, pick a couple things, especially the annual planning. It's amazing what comes out of your team, the ideas that they have, the excitement they have around maybe incorporating ortho or whatever. And then they get all excited, and usually you want someone to track it and empower them to do that. Maybe it's a team effort, but what questions do you guys have so far before well, I guess that's where we're going here.
Well, I have 2 comments if no one has questions, but I want to give them the floor first.
Questions, folks. Go ahead and go off mute if you've got that.
Dr. Taras made a suggestion. The Great Game of Business by Jack Stack is another good book that touches about open book management, like you guys were saying. So,
perfect. Yeah. Anytime you can be transparent with numbers, your team wants wins. They do. They want wins.
Well, and I was gonna give the example, we're in a practice now and they're doing a lot. They're a big practice. And the office manager, when we came through the door, is managing a practice and gets sort of I don't want to say reprimanded, but questioned about not hitting goal when she doesn't even know what the goal is on any given day. She has, they're just like, you didn't hit goal, you didn't hit goal. And she's like, I don't even know what I'm trying to hit. So when we came in and started sharing numbers, the team lit up. The team likes it. People are competitive by nature. People like to help by nature. People love to, you know, if you want to hit something, they want to help you get there, right? It's pretty much normal, or you wouldn't be on a team, right? If you weren't like that, you'd probably work somewhere else independently. Your whole reason of loving to be on a team is just to be able to, you know, to collaborate and get to that. And that's what this whole book is about. If you have that trust, then you guys talk about it, you get that, what kind of goals do we want to hit, and then you all commit, and then you're going to get way better results because of it. So I think being transparent, I haven't met a team yet that has said, oh, well, he makes way too much money, you know, I need more because of it, or, you know, I don't want to work here because of it. So anyways, I just thought I would put that in there.
What are some ways to bonus the team? Like I've heard of a practice doing, I think it was like 0.5% of collections was a bonus for the whole team. I was wondering if you guys had any kind of ideas on ways to bonus the team.
There's a lot of bonus systems out there. A lot of different consultants use different things. In theory, we have the philosophy of sharing in the abundance of money or projection. So what I mean by that is folks usually do bonuses, but it oftentimes isn't connected or linked to profit. So I like calling it profit sharing versus bonus. That's really important that you take away the idea of the word bonus and say, hey, look, if there's extra profit, I'm sharing that. And oftentimes it's a percentage of profit, Doc, trust. Like you decide what that percentage is. We have a really good spreadsheet that tracks collections, tracks wages, and it's in relation to those two. And so the more collections, but the more wages equals 0. But if you have this many wages and even more production, there's going to be some extra dollars there, right? So doing more with the same team. And the cool thing is again, in the spirit of managing and transparency, if you get the team involved and you share that bonus calculator with them, they will start making those decisions to benefit themselves. Like, oh, let's schedule more. And you know, someone's like, we need another dental assistant. We can't. No, we don't, because if we do, that's going to take away from our bonus, right? And so if you do it right, you can get that owner's mentality if you roll it out and you share these numbers. But it should be more of a profit share center or system than it is just, hey, you guys hit this number 3 times in a row and I'm going to give you a bonus. It's based on profit. It shouldn't be just a production goal. That's my overall comment.
Can I raise my hand?
Yes, Paula. Yes. Yes.
So when you're just starting out, though, you know, sometimes just throwing them a bone every once in a while, right? So like, let's say you don't really have a production goal, you don't have the money, but let's say it's like, hey, when we hit 50,000 for the month, you know, I'm going to buy lunch for the office. Or we've had, you know, they work up to a pedicure and a manicure, or let's go off campus and have some lunch, all the way to like a grab bag. You know, a doc will throw $100 bill in and a bunch of tens or what have you. And at the end of a good month, everybody gets to reach in and grab, and they may all get 10. Someone may get the 100, you know, that's a little bit of torture, but there's all kinds of things you can do when The thing is once you set the precedence of a bonus, or even profit sharing, it's kind of like you can't go back. So when you have no idea what that's going to look like, you don't want to put nothing definitive in place until you're able to. But also when Michael and I help teams do it, we let them know when the needle will move, right? So, hey guys, if we hit the number 3 months in a row, like especially docs, we go in and they already have 40% team wage overhead. We'll want to get them down to, 35, depends on where they are. But let's say that we want to get them to even 32. It's like, we'll move the needle on them until we get to 32, but we let them hit bonus 3 times. We move it 1%, and we keep doing that so that they don't feel so much of the pain of losing money, right? Because once teams count on those bonuses, they count it as part of their wage. And then it's hard to take that away because they feel like you're punishing them. So there's just a lot that goes into it. But yes, as Michael said, we have a spreadsheet that's profit sharing, and when you're there and you're consistent, and as long as you're not bringing on an associate or an additional, really just associate, because they're paid a little bit different, because they don't usually affect that bonus calculator as much. So anyway, hopefully that answered your question. There's another quick question. Early on, I kept it easy. If we just hit a certain number, I would split a disbursement to all the team. Gets more complicated when we added more staff and profitability, got more difficult to keep fair. That's from Dr. Barone. Dr. Barone, have we shared the profit sharing calculator with you? Okay. Are you utilizing
the cool
it?
thing about
Not yet. It's just our profitability has gone down since I've added more staff,
Okay.
but it was easier earlier
well,
on. Yeah.
But
Okay.
but isn't that interesting? I love that comment, Doc, because you're growing really quickly and you're adding team real quickly, and your gut feeling is it's time to bonus. We're hitting bigger numbers. There's bigger time to bonus. But that spreadsheet is exactly what I'm talking about. He said it. I haven't hit that profit yet. That made sense. So although the numbers are bigger, the team's bigger, there wasn't enough profit. I think a lot of doctors throw bonus feeling like, oh my gosh, we're hitting big numbers, but they really haven't hit that profit. So it really should be profit sharing. A lot of startups on the call, thank you for that, Paula, really do celebrate your wins, folks. The grab bag gift cards, the pedicures, that goes. Paula talked about one time she cleaned her employees' cars. They brought a guy out and cleaned all their cars and detailed it while they were in the office. Like, that stuff's this really does make things a lot stickier for you and your team. It builds culture, and they really appreciate it. It's not that expensive, really. But you're right, Paula. Like, the minute you start bonusing people, they expect it, absolutely, 100%. And it should be on performance. It should be. Before we, I did want to talk a little bit real quick about, now's the time to discuss, like, actually, Paula, why don't you do a better job on this? Why don't you talk about the yearly calendar?
Okay. Well, it's really not, I mean, my daughter made it, by the way, so it's super cute. It's really just to get you thinking, right? So what we have found is if an office wants to do any kind of celebration in a practice, whether it be in person for the patients, flowers for Mother's Day, flags for 4th of July, a social media contest, like we're going to do, something in March for St. Patrick's Day, and we want to give away, if we get X amount of reviews, we want to give away a gift. They usually start thinking about it when it's too late. So it's like, okay, we've got to create little flyers in our practice. We got to post something on social media. We've got to get a prize. We've got to so this is really just to get you thinking. Probably 4 times a year is really enough to, I'm not saying have a flower for Mother's Day, but if you're going to do contest or giveaways and things like that, 4 times a year is probably enough. You want to do an Invisalign special, back to school, a whitening special for New Year's or back to school, all those things. It's kind of like sit down with your team and decide the 4 major things you're going to do, or even all the things you're going to do, and make sure that you're a couple months in advance, so that if there are things to post, if there are gifts to give, if there are flyers to hang up in the practice, you're just not thinking about it last minute. Also, we really encourage plan posts. So if you're doing social media, really they recommend 3 times a week posting, which is a lot. The memes don't get a lot of traction. You'll see it when you post you and your child or your dog, or you would have a Lakers game or something. You'll get a lot more likes than when you just do like a little dental joke or a meme. So it's also really thinking about the holidays in advance. Always be taking photos in your practice. If you're doing a startup, take pictures of construction, take pictures of anytime you're there. If you have a practice and you're just goofing off with your team, just take pictures, even if you don't use them today. When you really once you start moving on your social media, you want to be relevant, and you want to be continuous. And if you talk to my daughters, there's a pattern to the Instagram that's more aesthetically pleasing than most doctors do. So, you just want to have those planned out, pictures in a bank. And then when you get going, you've got plenty to pull from. So this is just sort of, again, to get you thinking of what you want to do and how you want to move forward and being prepared. All right. Any questions? I know we got into some things. I'm happy to talk offline. If you need something, let us know. But what questions do you have about tonight that might help with the team, with other people?
I would encourage you guys. I mean, there's so many startups, so many acquisitions that like you guys really should be talking more on our private group. If we haven't invited you, we can. Paul and I jump in there and answer questions. Use it. I mean, you guys, like Charles, you had a great question today about the pro fees. I mean, anything like that when you're running specials. I mean, it's good dialogue in general. So I know there's lots of things out there, the making of and all that good stuff, but you guys have a connection point with Next Level, and we train you guys similar. We use the same language, and so you might get a little bit more out of it on our group. So just more there. I guess that's it. Do we have some questions? Profit share? Yeah, we can send the profit sharing bonus. Absolutely, Doc. You're going to struggle with it as a startup because you're going to grow so fast. I usually don't roll it out until your business kind of tapers a little, and then you get like 3 or 4 months of consistency. That's the perfect time to roll out a bonus once you hit that plateau, because you're trying to get the team to just do a little bit more, right?
I had the idea of maybe like the first 3-4 months bonusing kind of the front desk girl for every patient that walked that was scheduled, and then again for every patient that we collected money for that showed up, and actually that kind of way. But I also like that Paula suggesting not tying monetary bonuses into it, so they don't rely on that as part of their wage.
And honestly, Dr. Taras, if I was going to reward her for anything, it would get people back on the schedule, because you're paying for the marketing already. You're credentialing with insurance companies. You're the one bringing the patients through the door. She should be collecting the money anyway, but if you want to do something for that, that's great. But I would do more on reappointment rate. Like, how many of those patients that I diagnosed treatment on did you get back on the books? How many of those hygiene patients, because right now you won't have a hygienist, so she's going to be in charge of the hygiene appointments too. So that's where I would go, is if you get 80-90% of those people back on the books, that's where I'll buy you a dinner, right? Because we want our return on our investment.
And I like perfect, Patrick. That's right. 90% is the goal. Again, Dental Intel is a great program to track all that. We don't get anything out of Dental Intel. We just believe in it. Some of you are on it. that show your team can see it. They log in, they see their own reappointment rate. They see they can make a difference if they want to. And so if you do a performance type thing, them being able to see it somewhere, you know, maybe you put it on the target board, that's fine. That's the cheaper way, right? Dental intel is the sexier way, right? So, but whatever way, there's got to be an accountability piece to that. I think for startups, I like the idea of bonusing on performance for specific things before you get to that plateau. So talk to Paula, myself, about like different ways to motivate the team and little things.
And I would say the last thing is, you know, we wanted to make sure, obviously, when we're in teams doing this annual planning, we're talking real numbers with them. We're talking real, you know, how do they want to move the needle and all this. But for tonight, you know, you all are, you know, we're in the privacy of someone's practice, and tonight with you all just meeting each other for the first time, we didn't, you know, share, for those that you did fill that stuff out, we didn't share anything. So hopefully you took notes, and our next call with you, or next couple calls, because we don't talk you know, as long and stuff when you're membership and startups and all that. But if you have questions, you know, and I think a lot of you are, your brain's already turning, but just make sure you you know, bring that up, and we'll go over whatever that is. And we can do it multiple times. So just
last thing, I shouted out to Stefani. It's East Coast her time. She's got sick babies. I don't know if she pieced out, but some
she's
of
on
you
there
may or
still.
may not
I
know.
see.
Is she? I just wanted
I'm
to do a
here.
shout out
I'm
to
here.
Stefani. There she is. So Stefani, for folks that don't know, she's a newer member. If you all didn't know, she's our front office coach. She's based out of Ohio. She's been with us for over a year now, but I don't know if you guys even knew that, or if we rolled that out, but she's an incredible resource to you all on the front office side. It was frankly a weakness of Paula and I's. And so some of you guys got us so early on, and you know, that now that we have her, I feel pretty bulletproof. So you guys, if you have front office questions or whatever, she's an invaluable resource to us. So that's it. I mean, I got to be honest, like, it's so cool seeing all of our clients kind of like in one spot like this. We should do it more often, like maybe some kind of, what do you call it? The round tables and doing different things. It's kind of fun seeing your faces, because we coach you guys every day, every month, every week. And now having you all in one spot is super cool.
They might have to talk
So
a little more, Michael.
I think we got to
I
write
know.
each other. I think we got to write each other all reviews.
Oh, I love it.
that's
I
right.
love it.
Oh, that's a great idea. Hey now.
All right.
Okay.
Dr.
That's a
Taras
great
said
idea.
it. I
So-
expect one in my inbox.
That's right. Okay. Well, if that's it, I don't see any other
Michael, do
questions.
you have our
guys-
Facebook
Yep.
group? Dr. Fu just put on Get on Facebook Friends, but do you have our, is it just Next Level? We
Oh, I'm
haven't been
gonna
too
spare you
active
guys
on it
from
in a
me.
while. Huh?
I'll send it out.
Okay.
Send it out.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Thanks for being with us so late. Take care.
Peace
Go
out.
crush it.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.